So hi everyone, let's start our today's session. In the last few lectures, we understood the difference between direct and indirect taxes, and then we started with the understanding of constitutional amendments which were necessary for the purpose of implementation or the levy of GST. So in our today's session, this is what we are going to learn more in a detail, that what are the necessary changes which we need to bring in the constitution. At the same time, there are certain important basic understanding of the GST that we need to have. So all those related points we are going to study in our today's session. So understand, in the last lecture we discussed that earlier tax regime was being implemented by Article 246 of the Constitution. This Article 246 empowers the government to frame a law in respect of income tax, in respect of custom duty, in respect of excise duty, or you can say VAT, CST, so on and so forth. But this Article 246 is not competent enough, I'll say, for the purpose of levy of GST. Therefore, we need to have a new article, which is an Article 246 capital A, Article 246 capital A, which empowers government to frame a law in the name of GST. So therefore, we need to understand what is there in Article 246 capital A. Now, why we need to have this Article 246 capital A? The reason is very simple. The reason is, as we know that due to federal democratic system, I'll say, all the right and the responsibilities has been splitted between central government, state government, and going even up to the panchayat level for a village level development. But the major right relating to the levy of the taxes has been splitted between central government and the state government. Both have independent right to frame the law. There is no clear-cut article which empowers a government to come on the same table and the frame a law. And therefore, this Article 246 was not competent enough for the purpose of levy of GST, and we need to have a specific right. We need to have a specific right for a central as well as state government relating to framing a law in the name of GST, where both central government and the respective state government would be coming on the same platform and framing a law for the purpose of collection of the tax. Now, this particular situation of our country, federal democratic system, lead to a situation whereby single GST is not possible at all. Why? Because state government do not want to give away their right to frame a law of state tax. Therefore, and we know that though in India we work as a united country, but since the right have been splitted state-wise, all the states are functioning so far as the levy of the tax is concerned. All the states are functioning as if they are independent country. So they are governed with the central government, though it's a part of India only. But when it comes to the framing of the law relating to the taxes, all the state government are independent as if they are independent countries. So bringing them everyone on a same table itself was a task. So therefore, because of, again I am saying, federal system, we have dual GST model. We have dual GST model. Now when I say dual GST model, that means in India there would be two taxes which would be levied. on a transaction which is to be treated as an intrastate transaction. Now, what is an intrastate transaction? I have explained in the last lecture also, but again I'll explain it to you. For a transaction which originated in a one state and also got concluded in a same state, we need to understand that on such transaction there would be a levy of dual GST. Dual GST, when I say, that means there would be levy of CGST as well as there would be a levy of SGST. And as we can see that CGST is a revenue of the central government, while the SGST is a revenue of state government, equally distributed to both. So for example, if the transaction is an intra-state transaction initiated in one state, got concluded also in the same state. So originated in one state, got consumed in the same state. In such transaction, there would be levy of two taxes, CGST as well as SGST. Both the taxes would be levied on the same transaction. So how it would be levied? So if the amount of the transaction is, for example, 10,000 rupees, and for the purpose of simplicity, we assume the rate of tax also as a 10% CGST, 10% SGST. So in such type of transaction, on such type of transaction, if the value of goods is, if the value of goods is 10,000, if the value of goods is a 10,000 and the rate of CGST and SGST, rate of CGST, SGST both are 10%, then 10% CGST, 10% SGST, both would be levied on the same transaction, and the total invoice value comes to 12,000. I hope you can see. So this is how it would be levied, and this 1,000 will be credited in the government, which government? Central government's bank account. This 1,000 would be levied in the state government's bank account. This is how money would be transferred between central government and the state government. This is how it is known as, I'll say, dual GST. Now, therefore, now understand, again this is a very important point which we need to understand. Therefore, what is going to happen in this particular case is, because of this federal system, as I told you, and in my last lecture also I explained you the number of states and everything, but again for the purpose of understanding, more better understanding, and so that you can remember also, I'll again tell you. Now, since the right of framing a law has been splitted into two different parts, central government and state government, therefore the number of act that we need to have would be CGST Act and SGST Act. CGST Act कितने होंगे अभी आप सोच लो. अगर सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट 10 होती है क्या किसी कंट्री में? नहीं होती. सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट एक ही होती है. सो ये जो CGST एक्ट होगा वो कितने होंगे? एक ही होगा. CGST एक ही होगा. देन SGST कितने होंगे? तो SGST is a right of state government. SGST is a right of state government. And we know that after the splitting of Jammu and Kashmir into union territory and the state, as of now, we have 28 states. We have 28 states. So there will be 28 SGST law, which we need to learn. But luckily, all the SGST Act are a copy paste of each other. I will not say the copy paste, but are uniform. So therefore, it does not increase our burden of reading, which earlier every state were having their own VAT law, and therefore if I need to practice, being the person located in a Gujarat, if I need to practice in a Rajasthan, then I need to understand what is the Rajasthan VAT Act, because that Rajasthan VAT Act would be different as compared to the Gujarat VAT Act. Now because of GST, any chartered accountant, cost accountant practicing into in GST want to practice in any state of the country, he is easily able to do it now. Why? because all the act are uniform for all the state. As of now, there is a situation, I don't know about the future, but as of now, all the acts are same. Therefore, any person from anywhere in the country can practice from his home. So, 28 state hai, therefore there will be 28 SGST Act. But wait, again, along with it, there are certain area in our country which is known as the union territories, which is not coming under any state, where again a central government have a power to frame a law. So there are 7 union territories which we have. Out of this 7, there are 2 union territories which have their own legislature. 2 union territories have their own legislature. That is Delhi and Pondicherry. This Delhi and Pondicherry are, since having their own legislature, will be treated as a state. Therefore, there will be 30 SGST. All other union territories are covered under one UT GST Act. Therefore, we don't have UT wise GST. Therefore, all the union territories are treated as the revenue of the central government, and there is one UT GST law which we need to learn for all the remaining union territories out of all 7. So that is what we need to do. And at last, there is an IGST law which actually is an outcome of the federal system. What is an IGST? IGST is a summation of CGST and SGST. But we need to understand when this IGST would be levied. IGST would be levied in a situation where a transaction is an interstate transaction. So originated from one state, got concluded or got consumed in another state. In such situation, IGST would be levied. If the transaction, as I told you here, if the transaction is an intrastate transaction, then there would be dual GST. C plus S would be levied. But when the transaction is an interstate transaction, in a such situation, please come here. In such situation, there won't be 2 GST which would be levied. In such situation, there will be only 1 GST. So if the transaction का goods का value है 10,000, तो IGST लगेगा, लेकिन ये जो IGST लगेगा वो सीधा 20% ही होगा. So it would be the summation of CGST and SGST. So सीधा 2,000 लगेगा, and total invoice value is going to remain same, 12,000, and this 2,000 will go into central government's bank account. Central government would be holding this money as a beneficiary. It is not still a revenue. Why I am saying this, I'll explain you when we are going to learn ITC provisions and the further provision. But this money initially will go into the central government's bank account. So this is what I wanted to explain in this first kind of session. I do not want to stretch this session. I know I'm taking a small session, but this is something which you need to learn in a piecemeal basis. So therefore, this is something which I wanted to explain you. In the next lecture, again we'll start the further understanding of the remaining topics which we need to learn. Fine. Please take care of yourself. Stay home, stay safe, stay connected, and keep reading. Thank you.